Hello everyone and welcome to another new series I'm going to be trying out. If it wasn't already apparent from the title of the video, I'm going to be taking a look back at the old GTA series of games and, you know, YouTube. So the game I'm going to be piloting the series with will of course be the very first Grand Theft Auto game that was ever released. Grand Theft Auto. GTA 1 was developed by DMA Design, who of course later changed their name to Rockstar Games, and the game was published by, all manner of people. But for the PlayStation 1 US version of the game that I will be playing for the video, the game was published by Take-Two Interactive, so familiar ground then. So let's load up the emulator and play the game for my first time ever. Yeah, this isn't the first game in the series for me. That title goes to GTA 2, which I will be covering in the next video of the series. Oh, speaking of next videos, this is about the time where I'd start talking about the story and tell you all to skip to a certain point in the video if you want to play the game for yourselves, if not already done so to avoid spoilers. But in the case of GTA 1, there isn't really a story to speak of. After loading to the main menu and having fun with clicking new game reveals that, just like in GTA 5, you don't just play as one character, you can actually play as quite the roster of characters in fact. 4 different characters are available to choose from on the PlayStation version, but if you just so happen to have an old PC and play the MS-DOS or Windows version of the game, your selection of characters is doubled, including 4 male characters and 4 female characters. Ooh. Was this really necessary? Does it even do anything? No. Alright, so we select a character, load up the first level, and find that the controls are completely weird. X moves forward, which is fine, it's the same as GTA 2, but triangle moves you backwards. Ew. Square is used to enter and exit vehicles, while circle is attack, and R2 is the button you'll be pressing non-stop. Most of the PlayStation players will know back in the day, X is to go and square is to stop, while in this game with default controls, X is to go and triangle is to stop. I had to look to see what kind of control options there were to change to, and none of them were really that intuitive either, so I just left it at default and got used to them. No big deal. Graphically, Grand Theft Auto 1 is pretty good. Let's be honest, we are talking 5th generation console era gaming, and for the limited hardware that it's running on, GTA 1 is a pretty well presented game, opting for a top-down perspective the entire way through. While the world that you're in is rendered using 3D models, everything else, being the people, the vehicles and effects, are all rendered with 2D sprites. This massively saves on video memory, and as such allows the worlds of GTA 1 to be very large and have a lot to explore and have fun in. Despite this though, the game can chug at times and dip in frame rate when the player is driving around at high speed or otherwise causing carnage in any way. GTA drops you off in one of 3 US cities, the first level being New York, with Miami and San Andreas to be unlocked later as you progress. There are 6 levels in total, but only 3 cities that you explore, so you end up revisiting the 3 cities as you progress through the game. The cities themselves are very shrunk down recreations of their real life counterparts and match the geography of which somewhat faithfully. This does provide a rather annoying gameplay problem in New York though, as due to the fact that there is no map that you can use in the game, finding your way to the objective can be rather difficult at times due to the fact that the game is in a top-down perspective, and the map is based on a bunch of islands with bridges that you have to cross water to get around. Water cannot be traversed, and finding the bridge to get across the river to get to where you need to go can be very annoying at times. And this is the first level of the game, making it a rather questionable design choice. San Andreas and Vice City also have water, but the maps as a whole are much simpler in design, and as such are much more forgiving if you don't know your way around. New York, however, it's like, ugh, god, it's a dead end, water, where's the bridge, where do I go? Water, there's too much water! The objective of the game is pretty simple. All you have to do is obtain enough points to move on to the next level. How you get said points is pretty standard stuff. You complete missions, you destroy stuff, you blast people, all pretty standard stuff. But simply doing that isn't enough because the game has a multiplier mechanic which dictates how much total money you earn by doing said actions. You start off with a one-time multiplier, and it gradually grows as you complete missions and fulfill criteria. The idea is to complete missions to get your multiplier high enough for you to earn money at a decent enough rate. Once you earn enough money, you can leave the city and move on to the next, with each level gradually upping the amount of points you need to win. But it's not that simple, because if you get wasted, you lose your multiplier and a life. And let me tell you, it's easy to die in this game, and if you run out of lives, all of the progress you made in the city is lost, and you have to start all over again. So this game is actually pretty serious when it comes to lives. It's not just a game where you can faff around and just go crazy in. Well, you can, but you won't last long. Get this, if you aren't wearing armor and you get shot once, you're dead. That's it, there's no health stat in this game. So you have to obtain armor to be able to survive gunfights without needing extreme luck, or just using a car to run everyone over. The cops in this game are relentless. You think they're bad in GTA 5, they're really bad here. On top of having guns that can kill you in one hit, they run as fast as you if you're on foot, they're hard to escape even when in a fast car, and worst of all, the wanted level never goes away. You can hide all you want in the shadows and narrow streets and passageways, but that wanted level is not going down, and the only way as far as I know to remove it is to complete a mission. Correct me if I'm wrong. Speaking of missions, they can range from a wide variety of tasks, like steal some cars and take them somewhere, take out a gang, drive a car somewhere to get its ticking time bomb disarmed in time before it blows up. There's quite a large variety of missions you'll get involved in this game, though depending on your current situation, doing these missions can range from, it was a pretty challenging mission to, oh geez, how am I supposed to do this? This isn't fair. For example, there was one mission that I was in that I had to steal a bike from some dudes, but at the same time I had a wanted level. Oh yeah, there's bikes in this game, which surprised me. They don't make an appearance in GTA 2, probably for reasons I'm about to explain. Anyways, I was trying to escape and I felt like George of the Jungle, constantly crashing into stuff and desperately avoiding danger. Getting back onto the bike only to immediately crash again and again and again. No! Yeah, bikes are not fun in this game, and I suppose now's a better time than any to talk about the vehicles in this game. The game uses a top-down perspective, which is fine, it's very presentable that way, and it also allows the limited hardware at the time to handle the game of such magnitude, but to say that it has its downsides is an understatement, mainly with the thing that gives the game its identity. Driving. Driving with a top-down view is not good. Whenever you drive slow, the camera zooms in all the way, making it almost impossible to see anything that's around you, like you're in some sort of thick fog or something. To get the camera to zoom out, you gotta pick up some speed, but that itself produces even more problems. Once a vehicle is up to speed, the camera zooms out and moves ahead of the vehicle to better see what's in front of them, but the view just isn't good enough to allow the player to avoid obstacles or prepare for a turn. Driving in this game requires a lot of attention and fast reflexes to avoid getting yourself into a situation where it's like, jeez, get out of the way, my car, women drivers, get out of the way, come on, get out of the way! The problem gets even worse when you're driving a really fast car. The sense of speed is there, don't get me wrong, but what also is annoying is the inclusion of what I think is a cinematic shaking camera. The camera starts to wobble whenever you're driving at top speed, and all it does is make the game uncomfortable to look at. And don't get me started on motorbikes. Just don't use them. All that'll happen is that you'll fall, and you'll fall. It doesn't take much to send your character flying off the bike he or she is riding, and it's just annoying having to get back on the bike again and again and again. So before I go on about driving even further, I'll just quickly summarize. Driving in the first Grand Theft Auto game is not fun, but thankfully Grand Theft Auto is much more about driving, so let's take a look at those aspects, shall we? It's at this point where I tell you that instead of playing the game legitimately and going through level by level the boring way, I went ahead and did probably what most kids did back in the 90s and got myself some cheat codes. The one I'm entering gives me unlimited lives, a constant 5 times multiplier, some armor, infinite ammo, and all weapons. weapons. Surprisingly, GTA 1 has only 4 weapons in total: the pistol, the machine gun, the rocket launcher, and the flamethrower. Yeah, probably the smallest weapons roster I've seen in any video game of this nature, never mind in the GTA series. All of which are really effective, requiring very little of them to take down most targets. Even vehicles can be destroyed in seconds with a quick spray of the machine gun. When you're not in a car, you'll notice that this game is rather audible, in the form of the usual sound effects, you know, cars passing by, people yelling out naughty words, gunshots, the usual stuff. But weirdly, the game also features a lot of ambient sound effects in the form of music. There's generic banging music that you can hear from certain cars passing by, but then there's this. Save the magic, cut the card. You know, despite all the shortcomings that this first entry into the legendary Grand Theft Auto series had, I still consider this to be a pretty good game. Sure, the driving was horrible, the game overall was overly difficult in my opinion, there isn't actually that much to do for the kind of game that it is, and the fun doesn't really last as long as, say, most of the games, all of which are points that critics also had to say about the game. But you can't deny that this kind of game was unique, especially for the time. It took the limited hardware we had at the time and used it to run a game which had 3 entire cities to explore and cause chaos in. And thankfully, as with most sequels to any franchise, the second game in the series would drastically improve upon that 2 years later. But we'll talk about that more in depth, as well as the expansion for the original GTA London 1969. But in the meantime, make sure to leave a comment and tell me what I should change or improve upon for these kinds of videos for the future games in the series, because with every new game, the complexity of the games and thus these videos is only going to go up. As well as that, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe for more GTA related content coming to you very soon. Remember kids, save the magic, cut the card. See you around folks.